Want to welcome everybody out to our All Good City Council meeting scheduled for May the 9th, 2017, and it is 6 p.m. We'll open our meeting with roll call.
Honorable Mayor Bilbrey.
Present.
Honorable Vice Mayor Dyer.
Present.
Honorable Councilwoman Norris.
Present.
Honorable Councilman Hurt.
Present.
Our invocation will be led by Mr. Wade Tosh. If you would come to the podium.
Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for blessing us with a beautiful day and giving us all the ability to gather here. Lord, thank you for blessing this city, God, and I pray that you continue to bless it. Be with our leaders, lead, guide, and direct them in all the choices that they make. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Our pledge of allegiance will be led by Bill Bilbrey.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on tonight's agenda is consider approval of the agenda as presented. I think everybody's had a chance to review that. Is there any discussion?
Motion.
Have a motion second on the floor. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Honorable Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Next item, consider approval of minutes of the council meeting held April 11th, 2017. I think everybody's had a chance to review those. Is there any discussion?
Motion.
Second. Motion second on the floor. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Honorable Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Next item, consider approval of minutes of special call meeting held on April 26, 2017. I think everybody's had a chance to review those as well. Is there any discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, and I'll second it. Motion second on the floor. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Honorable Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Consider approval of minutes of special call meeting held May the 4th, 2017. I think everybody's had a chance to review those as well. Is there any discussion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second on the floor. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bilbrey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer.
Yes.
Honorable Norris.
Yes.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Under old business tonight, consider approval of blank for the fiscal year 16-17 annual audit in the amount of blank. Keith, would you like to speak to that?
This is the audit that you all asked that we rebid and put out, and we've done that. The three bidders are John Poole CPA for $6,900, Carr, Riggs, and Ingram for $15,000, and Job Hastings and Associates for $23,000. And I believe some representatives of these companies are here tonight.
Okay, is the John Poole representative here? Would you like to approach, sir?
Sorry, Mayor, would you like me to say a few words, or do you want to ask questions?
Yeah. You say a few words, then if we got questions for you.
Sure. My name is John Poole. I'm a CPA. I'm a little different CPA. The firm that we have, really all the work that we do relates to the audits of small local governments. We've been doing this for almost 20 years. We work with numerous cities. We have been fortunate to be the auditor of All Good for a few years now. Like you said, our firm is small, but we have a lot of experience. We literally spend 365 days a year kind of working with local governments, in contact with the states, and when a new issue comes up, we like to think that if we don't know the answer, we certainly know who we can go to.
Okay, the bid that you put in, was that for a compliance audit or is that for a comprehensive?
Yeah, that's for the audit that the state requires the city to require. That's what we would call, if you probably remember the little black books that you get. You know, the audit that the state requires us to get is primarily a financial audit. In addition to that financial audit, there's also a part that we look at the city's compliance with rules, regulations, and other matters. And so it is certainly the audit that you would get from any of these proposals.
Well, we're looking for a comprehensive. What you're doing is not a comprehensive by state standard.
No, that that just wouldn't be true, Mayor. Just wouldn't be true. We're doing the audit. There's an audit contract. Now you may say in that year want a complete, it's got all the different kind of disclosures and graphs and pictures. But the audit we do is, I mean, the state wouldn't let us get away with anything less than that.
You are doing the audit that the state requires us to have each year.
Yes,
When
sir.
we talk about a comprehensive audit, it's top to bottom, left to right, complete city audit. Not talking about the one you've been doing is the one that says, yeah, you're taking in this X amount of money, you're spending this X amount of money, you're not spending any more, and you have a bookkeeping policy that's in place. That's what, according to the comptroller's office, tells us that's what your audit is doing. When we talk about the comprehensive audit, it's total city altogether, not just the spending. Now, that's from the comptroller. I'm not an auditor, so I don't know left to right. So, I mean,
Mayor, I'm going to politely disagree, and once
Okay.
again, recommend you speak with any of the folks at the comptroller. You know, we certainly look at departments, we certainly look at how all the different departments are run, but the audit that the state requires, the audit that you guys are putting out the contract to bid, that's what we're doing, that's what we've been
Okay.
doing.
all right.
John,
Thank you.
between your tax return, which I don't believe I have seen, Keith, we have not seen the actual tax return, have we?
When you say
Other than the breakdown, that the paper, the sheets that we get with the breakdown, that's not the actual, it gets more in depth, right? The tax return, I'd like to see the tax return.
Well, I don't think the city doesn't file a tax return like you and I might file for our business or for our personal. City doesn't have to pay any type of income tax. I mean, the only tax returns we might do are when we pay sales tax on a monthly basis. We certainly do file payroll tax returns, but we don't have, you know, like you and I might have a 1040. City's not, you know, it's tax exempt from that standpoint. I'm not sure if I answered your
Well,
question.
it makes it a much simpler tax return
Simpler tax
or
return.
than a corporation, larger corporation.
But we don't have,
Not that,
we don't do a tax return if there's not
complex.
one to be done.
yeah.
Don't have to do one at all.
How many years have you done it for the city?
I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna say 5. There was an auditor previous to that, and I did do it for several years before that. So if someone knows for sure, I'm gonna say 5, but I don't know.
I want to say at least this second time, as you just mentioned, I'm going to say 6.
I wouldn't disagree. If I didn't look, but that's just a guess.
I believe that this previous year was the 6th time. I may be mistaken on that,
Me
but
too, me too.
we're close.
We'll agree, yes, sir.
We're close.
So this one possibly coming up could be the 7th audit.
I would not disagree.
Okay, all righty. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, thanks.
Do we have someone from Carr, Riggs, and Ingram?
Yes, sir. How are you?
All right, sir, you?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
My name is Seth Hoffman. I'm from Nashville. I'm with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. Happy to be here. I'm glad y'all had this meeting set for tonight. I just drove up from Birmingham where our annual firm meeting is going on. And I know this meeting got me out a couple breakout sessions that I didn't want to be in, so timing was great. The reason I came up here tonight was I wanted to let you know how much we want to do business with All Good and tell you just a little bit high level about CRI. I want to start by saying I'm not an accountant. My role at the firm is client services. So I meet with governments like yourself and make sure you're partnered up with our government industry line. And the person who runs that is a fellow by the name of Brian Barksdale. He runs that. He would have been here today with me, but he's leading a lot of the meetings down there this week. So let me just start by saying Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, tell you a little bit about us real quickly. We are the 20th largest CPA firm in the country. We are in 9 states. If you think of the Southeast Conference, we're in every state except for Arkansas and South Carolina. We have about 1,800 employees. Let's see, about 300 partners. Our motto, which is on the proposal, is national strength, but southern roots. And I really like that because it really says everything about our firm. We've got all the resources, all the technology, all the expertise of the national firms. But at the end of the day, we're all made up of small little firms. It started in Enterprise, Alabama. in 1997, and we've become the fastest growing CPA firm in the country over the last couple of years. But at the end of the day, we're all made up of small local firms. The firm in Nashville has been around as CRI for about 10 years. We've merged in from other local firms. So we give all that same personal kind of attention that you expect from your vendors that you know and that are part of the community. That's who we are, but we can do all the work that you need it. And I commend you for having this out to bid. It's always a good idea to have fresh eyes look at things and just kind of give you a different perspective. As far as the audit, our audit business for governments, we audit over 420 governmental entities with revenues totaling $21 billion. We have over 1,100 years of combined partner governmental experience. The government industry line or vertical or division represents by far the largest piece of business in our firm, more than manufacturing, distribution, trucking, banking, healthcare, everything. Government trumps it all. And let's see, what else I wanted to mention there. I think that sums it up as far as that. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out is in that proposal, you're going to see that we don't have any Tennessee government clients right now. And that's part of the reason that I'm partnering up with Brian, because we want to make Tennessee, we want to build our business in Tennessee. Now, we did have, as you'll see in there in our references, was the Nashville Regional Transit Authority. We did that work for 5 years. In the CFO there, his name is, let's see, who is that? Oh, I'm sorry, his name's in the paperwork. I wasn't here with the firm when we rotated off that. We only rotated off is because they forced it. Every 5 years they have to bring in a new set of eyes. But I don't, some folks might say, well, it's a negative that we don't have any Tennessee government clients. We can do this work. It's all from the comptrollers. It's all similar to the state of Alabama, Florida, all our other states where we do it. We have clients as big as the city of Jacksonville, the city of Birmingham, and some cities smaller than Allgood. But the benefit is you're going to be our only client in Tennessee. And I'm going to make sure that all eyes are on this city. It's got to go great. It will go great. We can do the work. That's not the issue. But I want to come back to you after you're all thrilled with us and ask you to be a reference for us so I can go out and get some more cities in Tennessee. So I look at that as a benefit. You're going to have all of our attention, and everything flows through me in Nashville. Let's see. I think that's all I wanted to tell you a little bit about. Again, thank you for letting me come up and speak. We're thrilled to have an opportunity to get your business. I hope we do. I'm happy to answer any questions. I can't answer anything technical because I'm not an accountant, but I'd be happy to try to answer any questions about the firm or the proposal if you'd like.
Of course, I'll ask you the same thing. Do you know what type audit that we put in? Was this comprehensive that we asked for, or is that what you've bid on?
I heard that question. We talked about that with Brian and with Keith a little bit. It's, just as this other gentleman mentioned, it is everything you asked for in your RFP, and it complies with everything that the State of Tennessee Comptroller Office asks for.
Okay.
Now, we have obviously the ability to do anything you'd like us to do, but not to try to avoid the question, I don't feel comfortable because I'm not a CPA to go any deeper than that because I don't want to give you bad information. But I do know what I just told you is accurate because I got that directly from Brian.
Okay.
Sir?
So basically, it'd pretty much be the same exact audit, is what I'm feeling from you.
I don't
Basically,
know. I don't know.
I know you're not the CPA, I understand that, but I'm paying
Yeah.
attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, I think, you know, as far
It's
as
basically the same thing, just a different company, same audit, right? Basically, there's no, pretty much
I mean,
P's
I
and
know what we
Q's,
do.
simple, it sounds like.
I don't know what the other gentlemen would do. I can only tell you that it's going to meet everything you need to do to be in compliance with the state and everything you ask for on the RFP. How different firms do that work and the end result are different. But to your point, being unable to answer anything deeper, I would want you to assume that.
Could you
Is that
save us money? Is there, with your audit, is there ability for the city to save money? Or would there be the same
Well, our
audit?
fee is, of course, higher than the other proposal, so there's gonna be additional costs there. But as far as the end results and having the ability to have a fresh look at it, perhaps there would be some savings.
What do you think your benefits would be to having a fresh look at it?
Well, you have a new set of eyes. You have, the benefit of a firm that's got a very large governmental practice that does these things all the time throughout the Southeast and can just bring a fresh look to it. And maybe, sometimes,
What would that do for the city?
well, I think it would just maybe, it's hard to, and I don't know what the other audits look like. I'm sure they were done very well. You've had that gentleman for 7 years. That's a great track record. I just think that in general, when you have a new group of people looking at things, you find things that maybe were missed or overlooked, or maybe just brought over from previous years. And we're going to start fresh, not knowing the city at all, and perhaps there's going to be things that we are able to find or bring a new perspective on things, or offer advice that maybe you haven't had in the past. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that makes sense for an audit.
Okay. Anything else?
I'd like to ask a question. I'm the accountant here, and I did look at your bid and what was not included. So your travel, printing, could be follow-up questions, those kind of things during the year is not included in this bid. Is that correct?
Well, we do have a provision for travel and expenses, but coming from Nashville, we're not going to, charge you for traveling up here from Nashville. We're not going to spend the night here, and there's not going to be really any travel expenses, coming up from Nashville. As far as printing, was there something specific in there that said we charge for printing? I don't ever recall doing that.
That's the other audit.
Huh?
That was Job and Hastings.
Another audit?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't charge for printing. We don't charge for, any questions you have, any questions we have of you. We're not on the clock like that.
So, after the audit is finished and you give your opinion, and the rest of the year, say 9 months, if I had a question, would you be on the clock if I called you?
No, absolutely not. You're going to have access to Brian Barksdale, who runs our government vertical, another partner in Nashville, David DeMarco, or any of the seniors or managers that are going to be assigned out of Nashville. We don't do that. That's, it's just not part of our
Lawyers
makeup.
do.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could charge for every time I got it. But ma'am, we don't do that. That's your fee. We're happy to have those now, if you had, if this led to another project, then we're going to, obviously have to discuss, what that would look like, the scope of that. But for anything that is regarding this audit, no, we're not going to do that. We just don't do it. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, is there anybody here from Job, Hastings and Associates? Okay. If not, any discussion on what we've heard so far?
I think a single audit's fine from a different company. I don't know about running the whole scope of things, but I wouldn't mind an audit.
Well, we had a petition that went around with quite a few voting citizens on it that wanted to see a comprehensive audit, and we've talked about having a fresh set of eyes look at it, which is ironically what he said. They're the 20th largest in the nation, this company here is, and I think the resume speaks for themselves. Even though we're going to be paying a little more, sometimes you get what you pay for, whether it's good or whether it's bad, and nothing against the pool at all. They've did our audits for, we're guessing, 6 to 7 years. And I make a motion that we go with...
Before you make that motion,
Okay.
I'd just like to say that the last 2 special call meetings, we've discussed the expenditures and budgets and everything else. You are adding $8,100 back. And that's all I'm gonna say.
That's right.
May I say something?
Sure.
I've been in county here for 6 years, and the books were in a mess when I got here. And I have a college degree in accounting, and I believe that the work that Vaughn and I and all of the administrative personnel do has provided more accurate records, increased internal controls. Vaughn and I both have our degree. We've got, Vaughn and I were CMFO. We've got a lot of education. And on behalf of Mr. Poole, I would like to say that he has done an excellent job in doing the audit, and has gone from, I don't even remember how many journal entries had to be made in the year 2010. He came in 2011, but for the year in 12. And we had very few journal entries. As a matter of fact, for the most part, they are the ones that I felt like he needed to make in our only loan on the books, and some reference to the GASB standards, and some deferred income. I do everything else. So I would just like to say that the city of Alwood is paying for education. They're paying to have educated people here. And personally, unless you've got something specific, I don't understand spending the extra money.
Well, I appreciate that concern. I really do. One of the things I want to respond first to Vice Mayor's comment. I'm talking about adding back $8,100. That we are. Sometimes you have to spend a little extra, and if you remember right, we added back to Victor's budget when he needed more money than what he did. So it's not a matter of cut. That's not what we're here for.
Oh, absolutely.
We're here
I
to
won't
get.
disagree with that.
Yeah, we're here to get the best that we can get. And to respond to you, what we were looking for was possibly a fresh set of eyes to look at it. And he said exactly what we talked about, a couple of months ago, maybe further than that, about trying to find another auditor. Not that Mr. Poole hadn't done a great job. I didn't say that, and nobody has alluded to that up here at all. So I don't want you to misunderstand what we're saying. We're just saying that sometimes we think we need somebody else to look at it, And we're not saying we'd stay with this company every year. We're just saying we just wanted something a little different this time. And that's where we are. And that's why I making the motion to go with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram for $15,000.
I need to, how do you interrupt the motion?
Oh, you can amend it, or you
No,
want?
I just want to make a comment.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
If we go with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram 1 year, next year, if we find, after studying it, there's basically the same piece of paper that John Poole's been putting out every year, I would suggest financially we would go back to John Poole. And with that, I'll second the motion.
I'm good with that. Okay. Any other discussion or motion?
Well, if I may.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And my point concerning the 8,100 was not directed at you, sir. Fantastic presentation, and I understand the level at which your company operates. You made that abundantly clear, and I appreciate you coming here and making that clear. And having Mr. Poole's firm for the past several years do it, and I'm looking at dollars. I really am. Okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm looking at dollars and trying to make the best decision involved with the dollars that are being spent. So that was my meaning when I made that statement earlier, okay? That's all I've got. You got a motion and second on the floor?
Motion second on the floor. Roll call vote?
Mayor Bilbrey,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Honorable Norris,
No.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Okay. Next item, consider approval to suspend the reading of 615-17. And we'll get into that motion or that ordinance here in just a second. But do I have a motion to suspend the reading?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second on the floor. Roll call vote?
Mayor Bilbrey,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Honorable Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Consider approval of first reading of ordinance 615-17, establishing procedures for public inspection of, access to, duplication of public records pursuant to TCA Public Records Act. Keith, would you like to speak to that?
The state passed new law that effective July 1st, all cities had to have a ordinance or resolution establishing procedures for Tennessee public records. We had a policy in place, but they released a model policy that had some wording changes, some updates of what records are available routinely and being available online. And so we took that policy and put the City of Allgood's information in it from the state, and that's what I've presented to you tonight.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to review the ordinance that's been presented?
Is there a possibility we could scan all our records, so if we want to make, so we have a document center where if we want to find that, we can just attach it and just email it real quick to somebody? Scan everything.
What do you mean, scan all city records?
Every piece of record you have, just scan
It's a
everything.
possibility,
And
but it would
computer
take some
very
time.
simple, then all you gotta do is instead of hunting records and going through all this to get to some records, you just bunch of buttons, send this money, this many pages, email it.
We're working on that as we enter the digital revolution. We're trying to get things online and make it easier to access and make sure that they're scanned and saved and ready to send out if somebody requests them, yes.
I'll ask you, Keith, were you to undertake that task at this point in time, what kind of time frame would you put on it to accomplish that?
I'd be afraid to mention a time frame to do all of the city's records.
Okay. We might even have to hire somebody to do that.
Whenever I looked at this, first looked at it, glanced at it, I was thinking that it was a measure to try to make it more difficult to look at public records, and I'm totally against that. I think the citizens of this town deserve better than that. I think they have a right to view anything that they want to in a timely manner. But after I read through it, all of it, I didn't see that in there. Keith, is there anything that the city has added to this that's not a duplicate of what the state puts out? Any paragraph whatsoever?
We've entered City of Allgood. We've changed to where to ask who the records request coordinator or who the public records request person is. We've put in here where the records are available online and what records we have available online. I don't know of anything that we've changed per se that is any different than what the state had in their policy.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to review it, or?
I had a chance to read over it a couple of different times, and like you, I did not see anything derogatory or detrimental toward the public, getting public records. And as Keith alluded to, I mean, it's pursuant to the one that's been issued by the state to go into effect July 1.
When I first looked at it, I thought that was what the state was attempting to do, was to make it more difficult. And it even says in there, in one part, that it is not meant to make it more difficult, nor should any county, city, or state make it an attempt to make it more difficult for anybody to get these open records requests. It's just a way of making it uniform across the state, where if you
Right.
went from one town, it would be the same as it would the other, so.
And that's a good policy to have, to be uniform, and I mean, public records, basically especially the past 3 to 4 years, has been kind of a hot topic in a lot of towns, not just the city of Allgood, across the state in general, and even across the country, so this is a good idea by the state to make it uniform. And with that being said, I'll make a motion that we consider this approval of first reading.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor, roll call vote?
Mayor Bilbrey,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dyer,
Yes.
Honorable Norris,
Yes.
Honorable Hurd.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to the city administrator's report.
Budget comparative for the month is 83.33%. General fund revenues are at 71.14%. That's $2,593,896.60. General fund expenses are at 52.77%. Expenses are $2,018,174.72. Water sewer revenues 86.1%. That's $1,350,744.17. Water sewer expenses 77.44%. It's $1,222,581.51. Total account balances are $8,661,781.68. The only department head here is Victor. You have anything? That's it.
Okay, that brings us to the hearing of citizens and/or delegations. If you would like to speak, please approach the podium. Direct your comments directly to the chair.
Last year, the actual last year was almost $400,000 on the property tax, and we're only budgeting $350,000. Is there a reason why you think you're going to be $50,000 down or anything like that?
Just didn't want to overestimate what we thought were coming in with the changes. We weren't sure on the assessment.
You raised the taxes. We had a reevaluation of all the land. You moved the tax rate up or kept the tax rate at the same rather than dropping it. So that would tell me you're going to get more money. So it just seems like you got a lot more fluff in here.
That's a
It's like
revenue.
you're building in. Well, yeah, it's revenue, but if you got more, that makes
So if you
look better,
underestimate
doesn't
it, you just don't spend it. So
Well, then on the city court, you got $46,000 this last year, and you're estimating $35,000. That's a $10,000 difference. A while ago, we was worried about $81,000 one way, and why did it go down $10,000?
just one of those unknown expenses.
We're working on the budget now. We hope to have a handle on that to where we are. That's why we've been having our budget meetings on Thursday nights.
I agree, but this is stuff I'm seeing that you've been talking about, looking at this piece of paper and everything.
Well, we hadn't
And,
got to that point yet. We had to
Okay,
that level.
Well, I mean, what's coming in is just as important as what's coming out. And the $8 million there, I keep hearing people say we've got $8 million, but that $8 million there, a lot of it was your water expenses and all that. So how much money have we really got? 5 million, 4 million?
General fund's got somewhere over 5 million.
How much have you got in CDs? I noticed that the interest on CDs was only $5,000 this year. It's been running $14,000. And we're into the third quarter.
I'd like to see if there's a fluctuation between us changing banks versus a percentage we made.
We were working with the bank when Vaughn got terminated on trying to find some ways to make better revenue, and since she's got terminated, that's kind of been set aside, trying to get other things squared away and get ready for budget to pass.
You think somebody
Did
invested
the interest rate drop? Did the interest rate drop?
Hey, Roger, hang on just a second. We're getting you an answer. You got to give us a chance to get that, okay?
Well,
Hang on just 1 second. I'll get right with you, okay?
Got it.
Okay, now, you're talking about the budget, I mean the banking, right, Dr. Hurd?
Oh, I'm just talking about CDs. If we move the money from one CD to the next, one CD could make profit lower than the other CD because it's all in the mutual funds in the stock market.
we were trying to work with the bank to figure that out when Vaughn got terminated, and so that information was with her, and we haven't picked that back up due to trying to get other things finished right now.
Okay.
So this year, we've only got a third of what we did last year and the year before? Is that what we're saying?
We'll have to look and see. Like he said, we
Okay.
hadn't kept up with that. We'll find out.
1 month, 2 more months, and we're into another month, into another year.
Yeah.
I just, how many CDs do we have? How much in CDs do we have?
That he just told you a few minutes ago. Vaughn handled all that. We're going
You're
to
looking
have-
up there and you're saying your general fund is $8 million. $8 million.
Says total account balances, not general fund.
Yeah, total account balances.
Okay. So we don't know that.
Well, you keep coming back and we'll get you the answer. But Roger, hey, Roger, hang on just a second. We're having the budget meetings. I've heard you and everybody else
You're right,
complaining
and I will
about this budget.
I'm
Cut
not
the budget,
complaining.
cut the
I'm
budget.
asking questions about it, which you all should be asking questions, because the stuff in here is not running smooth. It's up and down.
Roger.
And,
Well,
Hey, we come this, we've been going over every line.
I agree.
Why don't you come on and
We start at
kinda- You'll
5:30.
be served like as a sixth
I-
sub-council
no,
member.
I'm
and
just saying,
Talk with us about it. and
we're
let's
getting back to
nail
1
it
month
down.
later, and
Let's
some of this
get it
stuff
done.
doesn't even, it
we,
don't
we,
jive.
we get to a point that this council right now, we're doing something we ain't done since I've been the mayor. We're taking each line item and we're going through there and we're finding out, is that really necessary? We're looking at the previous years to see what was spent. If it's somewhere way out, as you call it, fluff, then we're addressing that. We're cutting that budget. Now, hang on. I ain't done. I didn't interrupt you. Don't interrupt me now. We are taking every line item and we're going down through there one line item at a time. That takes time. When you've got your budget spent right there in front of you. It takes time to go through every one of those, and that's what we're doing. And as far as we can't give you an answer right off the top because those numbers are changing as we're cutting them, and we got another budget meeting coming up Thursday night at 5:30.
It's your duty to be
I'm
there.
saying that these numbers should be cut closer before you all see it.
Well,
That's all I'm getting at.
it may have been, but we're trying to correct the problem now. We just ask that you be patient with us long enough till we get there. Okay? All right. Next.
David Maynard, while you're doing your planning and think about possibly moving your CDs around, I'd want to encourage you to put that in local banks that invest in this community. They pay property taxes here. They pay business taxes here. And I know you don't get a lot of money at any place you take it, but you ought to consider, they've invested in the community. Again, they pay taxes, real estate, and they pay business tax too. And I'm sure they'd appreciate it if you at least negotiate with them.
That's correct. And I'll allude a little bit to that. Whenever we talked about moving from where we were to Wilson Bank, and I'm sure the rest of us was led to believe that was a local bank. And I was thinking local because it being here. Then later, after we moved it, we found out the localness of it is in Wilson County. It's not here.
They're a very client of mine, but they're located in Wilson County.
Okay, all right. Okay. Hey, Ms. Bennett.
When Officer Medlin quit or resigned his job, he got to take all of his sick days, comp days, all that with him. How much money was that you had to write him a check for?
We'll have to get that. I don't know. I don't know what that was. That don't come out of a check that's signed by the mayor or the vice mayor. That's something that goes out. So I didn't see that amount.
Okay. Well, my point of even asking that question is, normally a business sets aside that money. It's set aside. It doesn't come out of the general fund. It's set aside. If you've got vacation, it says, because that is a liability the city owes. The city owes a lot of liability. These people have been working here for a long time. So when they leave, you have to cut them a big check. Where are you cutting that check from? Because we've asked that question before, and Vaughn told us, don't know, but the accountant just fixes it at the end of the year. That's what we were told. That's the answer we got.
It comes out of general fund.
Out of general fund. It's nothing set aside. You don't take money and put money for vacation?
There's a note put in
Sick.
the audit each year of what we're accountable for, and we keep a track on that, but it's not separated from general fund, no.
Is that common accounting practices that you don't set it aside?
When I spoke to the comptroller's office, they said that that should be in a different fund. We were exploring that and looking to see what we need to do in the right way. And I've said that before, that if every employee exited at the same time, it could bankrupt the city. You know, if, in that year's budget. Not that we didn't have it in reserve somewhere else to cover that, but that's a possibility. And that's why I'd said we need to make sure that we have that somewhere else. I think the vice mayor even echoed that as well. That's something we're looking into now.
Yeah, that might be a good practice. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Poole, would you like to speak, sir?
May I answer your question, Chair? This is going to be a difficult answer. In accounting for governments, you have two different kinds. You have a utilities and you have non-utilities. In non-utilities, like the general fund where the policeman works, you don't record, there are no debts on your books in a governmental fund. You don't have any assets on those books. You don't have any debts. I couldn't tell you why. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why for this policeman, there's no amount set aside as a current liability. Now, if he happened to work in the utility fund, those amounts are there. And on our books, money set aside for unused vacation and sick time. And so it's the reason those monies aren't there for the policeman, because he happens to work in a fund that's called governmental, non-utility. And they don't let you put debts on your books for those types of funds. And so it's an accounting thing. It's nothing the city's doing wrong. That's just the way accounting is. And it's strange, it doesn't make any sense. If we did the accounting for those funds, just like utility, that money would have been set aside for policemen, but you can't do it. And so that's your answer.
But your other workers, it's set aside for them?
Only the utility workers. Only if they're working a utility fund. Proprietary fund uses what you and I would call regular business accounting. All the other departments, police, fire, streets, sanitation, they don't have that.
So it's like the mayor said, if everybody goes on strike and says, we don't work here, well, goodbye.
Right.
Your budget's gonna be way off that year.
And you have to do a budget amendment. That's all you can do. But you're exactly right. And it's a terrible way to treat it. Why we don't treat all things the same, I don't know, but that's the way the rules are. And it's every government. It's not just all good.
It's just government that's
Yes,
allowed
ma'am.
to do that.
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Is there any others?
How you doing? Tony Hogan, I work here for the city. First of all, I'd like to thank the citizens of Allgood for letting me be on the BZA board. I appreciate it. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with Mr. Hurd and Mr. Norris and Mr. Rotwell. But effective tonight, I resign. I want no more parts of it. And I thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? If not,
I've got a question.
yes.
I don't know if you can answer it or Keith. Whatever happened to a task force thing that was going on?
Talking about the drug task force?
Yeah.
The chief of police would attend the meetings, and we have not assigned an officer to that at this moment.
Oh, okay. Are we going to sign one to that?
Eventually, but right now, we're just trying to get stabilized and get back to capacity before we do that, yeah.
Okay.
I move adjournment.
All right. Motion second.
I'm sorry, didn't say you were signing checks. You doing okay? Yes, sir. Have a good night. Yeah.